You bench and bench and bench, and press and press and press, but still no chest gains. The pecs can be a stubborn muscle to grow unless you're doing these 3 things right. I'm here to show you how you can blow up those pecs. It's much easier than you think. Let's get started. The fact is, most people do not have enough tension. Basically, you can press the most with a barbell bench press, whether incline or flat. More on that later in the video. So it makes sense to focus on these exercises first in the workout. You can always do drop sets or supersets, some lateral delt or tricep work, or even isolation chest work to make up for the time spent on the bench press. Sometimes you're doing too many sets in the barbell bench press, this fatigues you out later in the workout. Even 3 sets is fine, probably 5 max. You can always do some chest isolation work to really zero in on those pecs, since I found my triceps fatigue out with the bench presses and therefore limits the chest involvement in later sets. The thing is, you can go pretty wild for chest isolation work. Just make sure to 1, ease into it, and 2, balance it out with your bench pressing from early in the workout. For example, if you decide to do 4 sets of bench presses, you probably wouldn't do 5 sets of chest flies, especially when first starting out. Remember, you're not only working the muscles, but your tendons and ligaments also take a toll, and sometimes they can't keep up with the demands as well as the muscles can. Your shoulder joint will thank me later. I generally recommend 5 to 6 sets total for chest volume on your first push day or upper body day, and the same thing on your second push or upper body day. Then after 2 weeks of that, you can increase by 2 more sets for either the pressing or pec isolation work. I'd recommend adding that extra couple sets each day for pec isolation work, as this is not only systemically fatiguing, meaning your whole body and mind take a toll, but you also spare your triceps a little bit. Regarding the flat versus incline angles, this study found that the subjects who performed the flat barbell bench press only saw hypertrophy in the sternal portion or mid pecs, but those who did the incline barbell bench press saw hypertrophy in both the clavicular and sternal portions of the pec. So what does this mean for you? Although this study shows that incline barbell bench press is technically the most efficient, I do believe the flat bench press has its place in terms of mixing things up, and there's the fact that you can generally press more weight with the flat barbell bench press. Remember, tension is very important for building muscle. More often than not, you'll find the guy or gal who can bench press a lot of weight has a bigger, more developed chest. Besides that, we know from other research that performing a variety of exercises can be more beneficial for hypertrophy than just one exercise, up to a certain point of course. So the flat bench press isn't dead, it's just that the incline bench press has more merit to it than before. From this other study, we know that the best angle for upper pec growth is somewhere around 30 degrees, or so we thought. You see, we all have some different anatomies and structures. Some are built differently than others, and our sternal angle is no exception. I happen to have a steep sternal angle, so when I do a flat bench press, my lower pec fibers are more lined up with the movement than my mid pec fibers. Same idea when I raise the incline up to 15 or even 30 degrees. My mid pec fibers get lined up more than my upper pec fibers, so for me personally, I have to go to 45 degrees to really target my upper pec fibers. You can test this out by placing your phone or your hand on your sternum. Is it flat or does it dip forward toward your head? If it's flat, then 30 degrees or even 15 degrees might be enough for targeting those upper pec fibers. If it dips forward like mine does, you'll need a higher bench angle to align your upper pec fibers with the line of resistance, aka gravity and the weight. Another trick I've been trying out as well is to do 2 to 4 sets of decline wide deficit push-ups in the morning, during my lunch break, or at the end of the night. Whenever you decide to do them, just make sure there are a good 3 to 4 hours between the time that you work out. That way you get another 2 to 4 sets of chest volume in, it doesn't take up too much time for your free time, and doesn't affect your workout for that day. These can be done really from anywhere, as long as you have a stack of books or other stable objects you can put your hands on safely and get a super deep stretch in those pecs. We know hypertrophy is the same anywhere from 5 to 30 plus reps, and I'd be hard pressed to find anyone who can do more than 35 reps for these for 3 sets in a row. If they are too easy for you, then you would simply put your feet on something higher. If these are too hard for you, then just do regular push-ups, but still with the deficit from the books or whatever else you have access to that's stable. Okay, now that we got the programming out of the way, let's focus on getting the most out of your chest training. I hinted at it when mentioning the push-ups, but one of the most important things that help grow your chest or any muscle is a good stretch with lots of tension and load. Look at these 2 videos of me doing dumbbell bench press. Which one gives some pecs the most stretch? If you guess the left one, well, no it's not. That would be wrong. See what I'm doing with the one on the right? I'm pushing my sternum forward and squeezing my shoulder blades as I lower the dumbbells. I'm also trying to get the dumbbells to my armpits every time I go down. This will put an amazing stretch for my pecs and therefore stimulate growth much more than usual. This is the goal with any exercise, whether that's the dumbbell or barbell bench press, flies, push-ups, etc. Speaking of chest flies, dumbbell chest flies are extremely underrated, as using dumbbells will put a good amount of tension on the pecs at the most stretched position, and then as you fly the dumbbells back out to the top, the exercise gets easier. This is the most ideal for any exercise, as you get more fatigued while you're busting out reps and therefore making it harder to complete the rep. If the dumbbells are out to the side, I can only hold that position for so long before my pecs fatigue out. This is the hardest part of the exercise to control. Compare that to when the dumbbells are at the top, and I can hold this for a lot longer since there is virtually no tension on my pecs. The best thing about dumbbell flies is that your pecs are already warmed up from bench pressing before, and you're already on the bench. The pec deck is also a great pec builder, as you can easily do drop sets, mile sets, and other intensity techniques. If you don't have access to a pec deck and only have one cable for cable chest flies, I've been doing this kneeling single arm cable chest fly, and it's been working wonders for my pecs. This position is more stable than standing up, only requires one cable. You can also easily do drop sets, mile sets, and etc. The only downside is you have to work one arm at a time, so your sets last twice as long, but while you're doing the second arm, the first arm is resting, so you really don't need to rest as long between sets as you normally would with something like the pec deck. Now, piecing this all together, your programming may look something like this. For a push-pull leg split, with Monday and Thursday being your push days, you'll start off Monday with a barbell incline bench press for 2 to 4 sets at 6 to 10 reps. Later in the workout, you'll do the pec deck for 3 to 6 mile bouts at a 12 to 15 rep range for the first set. After you bust out 12 to 15 reps, you rest 20 to 30 seconds, then go at it again and maybe getting 4 to 6 reps. Repeat this for 3 to 6 total bouts. So your reps may look like 14, 6, 5, and so on. That's one set. Depending on how many sets of bench press you did before in the workout, you do 3 or more bouts. If you only did 2 sets of incline bench press, then you do 4 to 6 bouts of mile sets for the pec deck. If you did 4 sets of incline bench press, you only do 3 to 4 bouts of mile sets for the pec deck. If you don't have a pec deck, then you can do dumbbell pec flies or kneeling single arm cable chest flies instead. You can even alternate weeks where you'll do more incline bench volume or pec deck volume and test what works best for you and your body. The rest of your workout, you can sprinkle in any shoulder or tricep exercises. On Thursday, or your second push day, we'll start off with dumbbell bench press for 3 to 4 sets at 8 to 15 reps, getting a super deep stretch at the bottom and slowly lowering to that deep stretch. After that, you'll transition to incline dumbbell pec flies for 3 to 4 sets at 12 to 15 reps. Again, going into a controlled stretch and slowly lowering the dumbbells. Since your pecs are already warmed up from the dumbbell bench press, you'll most likely not have to do a warm-up set for the incline pec flies, but feel free to do so if you need it. It's much harder to do drop sets with dumbbell pec flies, but you can try mile sets or stick with straight sets or superset with any shoulder exercise. You can also do the kneeling single arm cable pec fly if you want to mix it up from the dumbbell version and superset with cable lateral raises. Write this out for 6 or so weeks, deload, then switch from flat to incline and vice versa for these exercises and write that out for 6 or more weeks. Then repeat as necessary, adding 1 or 2 sets for any exercise every 2 to 3 weeks until you top around 8 to 10 working sets for chest each workout. Also implementing the decline wide deficit push-ups earlier or later as tolerated. Even then, 10 working sets for chest is a lot. Sometimes less is more, especially considering the shoulder joints can get pretty beat up with this much volume. Trust your body and don't be afraid to dial down the volume a little bit. Well guys, these are the secrets to a bigger chest. Doesn't get much fancier than that. You'll notice I didn't include exercises like the decline bench press or dips or even machine presses. I personally don't see many benefits for the decline bench press. I'm not a huge fan of dips for similar reasons. Most people don't have access to a machine chest press. If you like these exercises and can do them, feel free to sprinkle them in for some variety. And I'll see you guys in the next video.